Second question?
Yeah.
Yep.
The question was, what can people aspire to become after being a data analyst? Is it becoming
Yeah.
becoming more technical, like going into the field of AI or machine learning, or is
Mm.
becoming a project manager or a product manager for a software firm or a bank or something like that?
Yeah. Cool. So to understand this, I would actually put in the thoughts that the higher up that you go in terms of project management, the more likely that you will actually interact with people, right? You need to understand the domain knowledge and you interact with people. So usually how people start at my company, even at Visa as well, is that they will start as an individual contributor, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had a very specific task, and then they have like they can get an ownership on a specific project or specific system. Let's say that I was dealing with phishing in Gmail. I had that like specific system that I need to fix, right? So they have like many different features that is determined by the tech lead, right? So after I become IC, so the next step, what I want to do is that I can become a sort of a people side, meaning that I start becoming managers, and I get a head count. I try to make sure that the well-being is there, or I can become a workflow lead, right? So workflow lead is a more technical kind of managers. So basically, they get all the understandings about what the higher ups managers really care about, especially when they decide how successful we are, right? So they were like metric setters, right?
So,
And based on that, they communicated with very different kinds of things.
are they below C-level, like be it CFO or CEOs or CTOs?
Yep. So once you become these managers and you can sort of like conduct a certain product knowledge and development really well, then there will be further ups like into the maybe head of that data, for example, which is a very senior role, right, in a very big company. In a startups, maybe like those are very fast, but in a big company like Google, it's a lot of level ups, right? So you can become head of data, and in the end, it becomes like chief data officers or chief technology officers.
Okay, makes
Yeah.
sense. That was quite interesting. So, what is the data industry willing to take freshers in easily, or do they expect them to have prior internship experience or project experience, or how does it work for freshers?
All right. Yeah. So this is like what we always learn from our university, right? That oh, you need to go through these channels like internships, portfolio, and maybe like take a master degree and then get more certifications.
Exactly. Go and do projects, do internship. That's what we hear in our university and in my batchmates in our day-to-day conversation.
I see. I see. Yeah. So what's important in terms of like big companies like Visa and Google, based on my experience, is that they really care about all this stuff, right? And everyone in Singapore and I think everywhere is like they're doing this kind of stuff, right? They have a bunch of portfolios, they have a bunch of internships, they have a bunch of like um, curriculums as well. They're active in many different kind of like CCAs, extracurricular activities, right?
Yep.
Yeah. But one thing that I learned, I have a talk with HR, and one thing that I learned what sets out a certain person really well is actually two things, right? First is the impacts, and second is storytelling. Yeah. Let me explain a little bit more what I mean by that, right? So let's say that you have all of the criteria, you have all the skills, right? But let's say that you don't know how it's benefit to other people. That's actually something that is not good either. Because I had this one junior that came up to me. I was already working at Google, but he wanted to get an advice from me. So I said, "Yeah, come to Google, right?" So I asked. He was really like enthusiastic. He just graduated from university. He worked in a startup in Singapore, and then like he really wants to conquer everything. And I can tell from his spirits, right? He brought a very big binder book to take notes everything what I said. But then by the end of the day, he promoted his project. So his project is that he's trying to analyze his own like fitness app trackers and then like try to do a bunch of machine learning stuff with it, right? So when he told me about that, like one question that I have to him, right, is that why are you doing that? And he was quite stumped. He always says, oh, because I'm interested to learn A, I'm interested to learn B, I'm sure that this is going to be the next big thing. But by the end of the day, I asked, okay, who's going to benefit from it? And he says, yeah, it's myself, right? Because it's my own data, and yeah, and this kind of thing has been there in the market, right?
Is the is the biggest thing. That's what you're saying. That should be your top priority.
Yeah, so it's kind of like we have limited time, so why do you just create a project on your own that only benefits yourself, right? There's no impacts that you are giving to other people or the society around you. So the first one is impacts, right? It's very, very important because by the end of the day, your managers, what they really care about is that how you solve the organization problems, right? And and if you cannot like show it to them in a way that is number oriented or in a way that is in terms of storytelling and communication skills, you just say, oh, I create a fitness app. It's not going to work, right? It's not going to cut off for it. But if you can say, like for example, my case, I blog a lot, and I try to make sure all the portfolios that I have users, right? I actually deploy it and make sure that they are using it. So one of the most famous ones is I created a stocks because stocks investing analytics, right? So I have a lot of finance friends, and then like I ask them, right, how you research stocks, and they always like give me a very clunky like Excel sheet, and then they were really proud of it. They were like spending like Saturdays and Sundays in library just to research on stocks. Then I was like, okay, why can't you automate your analysis, right? Why you need to copy paste from Google Finance one by one? And
By the way,
and they had no answer to it. Yeah, so in the sense that that's how I built my my audience, right? Build your audience. I know that there's a need to it, and then that's how I create my portfolio. So by the end of the day, combined with my writings, if my manager says, okay, tell me a story where you have you have a project that you want to share in analytics. Then I say, yeah, I have this story, I have a blog, and then these are the number of people that actually benefited from it. I have numbers, right?
that's amazing. That's amazing. So far do certifications go for applying job as a fresher?
Okay. Yeah, for me, I'm bachelor. I'm still a bachelor. I'm graduating for masters end of this year, and for me, honestly, in terms of like a lot of jobs, they don't really think about certifications a lot, but they really care more about those impacts and storytelling that you can share with them, right? There are three reasons why I think certifications are important. The certification is important if let's say that you have a bachelor degree in philosophies and then like somehow that, oh, I want to do data instead and I want to work at banks because that's where money comes from. Let's say. So you take certification in that
Platform, not necessarily from a certified company like Oracle or SAP. You're saying any online, right?
Oh, okay. So for Coursera, no, including masters and SAP and Oracle as well. Certification are useful because it's a signaling, right? It signals how it's different from you from other people. Yeah, that's how certification works. If everyone has master degree, let's say, then master degree will be the norm, right? So you need a PhD next to set yourself apart. That's the kind of idea.
Sure.
But it's good.
And in the field of data analytics, right? So be it masters in
Yep.
field of business analysis or data science or masters in information system, that would give you upper hand, I assume.
Yeah, it will give you an advantage. But then it gives you more advantage in case if you want to jump industry. That's what I feel. And the second one, if you want to teach, let's say that you want to become a teacher in a sort of like universities, lecturers, then that was really good as well to have. And finally, if you want to have a structured learning, like certifications give you a structured learning, right?
True.
So yeah, it's good because like it's it tests your skills, right? If you go for TensorFlow certifications, then there will be an exam that you can test your TensorFlow skills, and you know where you are lacking. So it gives you a health checkup in a sense regarding your skills.
Yeah.
But apart from that, in terms of like industries, I would have to say it's sort of like half-half. Some industries think that it's very important, but you can still survive even if you don't have strong certifications. Maybe just your bachelor degree.
Okay. Mm, that was quite
Mm.
insightful. So, what do you think is the best way to apply for jobs? Is it going through consultancies, or is it applying through online portals, or applying through LinkedIn, or asking for recommendations for people who are actually working in the company? What do you think is the best way to apply as a fresher
Yeah.
for internships or for jobs?
Mm. Yeah. So allow me to put it in context of Google, right? So Google have a book that's very intensive in terms of how they hire. It's called like how I cannot remember what's his name, but it's by Laszlo Bock. So Laszlo Bock is a big HR. He's the head of HR like long time ago. So he sort of has standardized how they hire for technical and non-technical role. So in terms of like what he says, the bulk of the hiring is always come from the referral, right?
Yeah,
Because smart people will refer smart people. As simple as that.
makes sense.
And the second thing is you hire yourself, right? So there are two. There are some stacks. The first one is recommendations. The second one is like you apply yourself. And then the third one, which is like where I go in, and the rarest one is that I get headhunted, right?
Hmm.
And which is based on my blogs, portfolios, and it happens to get to their eyes. Yeah. So for me personally, I think is the best way is to find find your referral, but to increase your opportunities and increase your probabilities of getting accepted. Having a strong portfolio with impact and storytelling is the best.
Okay, perfect. That's exactly what that would benefit a lot of people, by the way. Either it will benefit a lot of freshers. So
Mm.
that you said recommendations is the best way to get your foot in the door. And how do you think is the best way if, in case people they don't know in any tech industry? And how do you
Yep.
best way to network in the time during this time of pandemic?
Yep. Mm. Honestly, there are many ways to go around it. The thing about networking is that it's always some people think it's always take, right? Like these people are sort of like can become our mentors, and then like yeah, we take something from them, right? It's like pay it forward kind of mentality. But I would like to bring another mentality, which is like give and take, right? In the sense that to network first, you need to understand what's your chip, right? What's your betting chip?
True.
What's your strengths that you can add value to them? And to make sure that you can add value to them, right? You need to have a certain portfolio. You need to have certain ideas. You need to have certain projects that will interest them, right? And then they will like to invest in you, right?
Hmm.
So always start networking before you go to events, in the sense that you need to like invest on your betting chip first. And once you have your assets, you have all those like storytellings, always like storytelling impacts. If you don't know like what assets, think about what impacts that you have made and what storytelling that you can get other people to buy in your ideas, right?
Hmm.
So always think about that first. Once you are ready, then you can go to network, you can go to events with a certain purpose in mind, right? Oh, I want to sort of like find somebody that I think I can collaborate with, right?
Yep.
And based on that, as a networkers or like the persons that would like to present themselves as mentors, then they will say, oh, I can invest in these guys because I can see that his ideas can bring some fruits and I want to see it happen, right? So there's always a give and take. It's always a reciprocal.
So
So that's how you should.
planning to network
Mm.
to obviously do their own homework and have your own ideas, make your own projects, do your own research, And after you have everything done, when you can provide some value to the person you're asking for,
Yeah.
so it's always a
Yep.
give and take relationship.
Correct. Correct. If you want to build a strong network, I think that's the best. Always give first, and then after that, maybe you can take occasionally.
Yeah, actually, freshers or college students, they have this sense of paranoia while approaching people. Oh, what will they think? Or but they don't realize that everyone has been in that situation which they are in right now. If you have something to provide, and actually if you are actually willing to put in the effort, people would be more than glad to help them. Am I right?
Correct. It's always like stays with what you can do best. Assess yourself first before you reach out to other people. I think that's how mutual respect can come about.
Yeah. So apart from asking for recommendations, applying to job portals, does that work? What do you think about it? What is your opinion on job portals in the field of data analytics?
Sorry, can you repeat what you mean by that?
So apart from job portals, you said the best way to ask a job or internship is through referrals. So apart from getting
Yep.
referrals, what is the second and third best way to get a job or internship?
So in terms that let's say that you cannot find a referral, then you can apply it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But what really stands out in terms of resume is that if you do something that's like exceptionally better than other people, right? Because imagine like these tech companies during the corona period, a lot of people are getting laid off. I think in Jakarta itself, four big tech companies like Gojek, I know Gojek is huge in India as well. Is I mean they have a layoff just recently, right? And of course travel industry layoff. So how do you like set up a part yourself with these people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's always like to to find as much possible to how you can help other people first in terms of portfolio and impacts and storytelling. And based on that, that will be your betting chip for you to put in like more leverage, right, in terms of how you are going to be called.
Mm-hmm.
If you have networks, yeah, it's also like a gateway for you to networks, or if you are lucky like me, then it's a gateway for you to have the HR approach you, right?
Yep.